lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
I missed a lot because I only beat 30% of the game.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
This time through, I'm gonna try to get all the trophies.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately. I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral. In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know, or she thought the mystery would be enough to bring me back. No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
I wonder what's so important about taking both paths. I mean, why the because it's cool?
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to. The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it. As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
I just done 2 swoops, clear the balls. There's not that much trophies to go after, but I made the front door swap.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Last time I thought this was going to be like a horror game or something.
The power had been turned off the night we left. For the first time in years, I felt like I was home. But instead of a family, there were just memories of one. Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot. The table was still a wreck from the night we left. My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
I wonder why.
It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth. Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
wish this game elaborated more on the second house. Like, I don't think you can see, like, I think that's the second house over there. But, makes no,
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit. Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
that's pretty dope. I guess, this is a huge ass house, though. I don't know how anybody
After Milton
could-
disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms.
of the making of
Then
this
Edie
house.
retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Retaliated and drilled.
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother. As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
Last time, I wasn't aware of the peoples. I don't know why.
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
And these are the only times in the game where the text isn't yellow. I'm just noticing that.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
Molly's death was the saddest.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
You probably should have stayed from
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
your great Uncle Walter, man. Sounds creepy, to be honest with you.
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
I wonder why.
But I had no idea what was behind that door.
A lot of this game. This game is very confusing.
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole.
Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
That's probably the cutest thing about this room.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
Oh, fuck, that's one of my life.
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it. Mom, can I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
This game is beautiful.
My Halloween candy was all gone. about eating Christopher, but I held back.
It's like, she was so close to eating my nigga Christopher, too. That's the bathroom. Oh, there's no shit for me to eat.
I ate a lot of things that night.
Look, to be quite frank with you, by the look of Molly's skin, it looked like she was naturally dying.
I kept eating and eating. Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat.
Hold up. I gotta see what the trophies are. Alright. So, 2 rabbits with 2 swoops went on the fucking owl. I'm pretty sure I did that shit last time.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
But it turns out I never did this bird. I don't think. Because this bird has been like subliminal messaging this entire fucking time I've been playing. You see him?
I jumped and I almost got her.
Wait a fucking second. Alright, so we've seen this bird in every fucking cutscene. Alright.
I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird.
Conclusion, this bird murdered the entire family. Oh fuck. Shit. What? No, I'm not supposed to go back over there. The bird's right there.
I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits. I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I rolled off a cliff and now I was hungrier than ever. I tore off her flipper and it tasted really good. Grabbed on tight, but I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed. Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I was big, but I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Basically,
belly with a rush.
Passenger, I was still hungry, and across the water I smelled something new, something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe. I got closer and closer. All of my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep.
But basically,
but it's not going.
Look at this. You see all these people? They're dead. And this is her family tree.
Bruh, even him? What did he do? Not Milton.
Bro. It was about this guy who worked at like a fish hatchery, not a fish hatchery, but you know, where they just chop off the heads of fish, you know?
Yeah.
And so, during this part, I was having to like chop off the heads of fish while playing this little dream sequence that he was imagining himself as king, you know, because he was tired of the position he's at in real life.
Did you have to play all their lives or something?
Yeah.
That's sad.
It's like, not like their entire.
What game is this?
It's called What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah, so you downloaded this for free, bro?
Huh?
You downloaded this for free?
Yeah.
Are you playing on air so people can watch you?
Huh?
Are you playing
playing. I always broadcast what I play so I could rewatch them, and when so it doesn't save to my PlayStation. It just goes on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It saves me storage.
I wish my friends would do that. Cause then they could make some money playing Fortnite if they had like a camera or something, so they could actually stream. That'd be nice.
Wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
But there was this one part where you were just like, you're this kid and he wants to like swing and go, like the swing is on the tree, and you trying to swing, and he's trying
not
to
sure if
go
I believed
like
all
a
of
full
that,
loop around
but I'm sure
a
Edie would
branch.
have.
Yeah.
And he was told like that's not possible. He was like, fuck that, I'm going to do it. And he kept on trying to do it, and eventually, you know, you're playing him, so you're him trying to go over the shit, and it looks so cool, so beautiful. And he eventually does it because of the fucking wind, and then he falls off the swing and lands into the fucking ocean.
Whoa, he died. Honestly, this game is too fucking grim, bruh.
It
This
is.
game is grim as a motherfucker.
And
I can't describe it.
it's like the Grandma Edie.
Stop leaving these motherfuckers on the ground. Did I tell you they're valuable? What were you saying?
I don't remember.
You was talking about the dude.
Oh yeah. So this is who I'm playing as right now. That's the chick I'm playing right now. But this is the grandma, and her conspiracy theory is that like the house has a powerful entity, which is why all of them die. But you know, the entity is never addressed during the entire game, and when you beat it, it's kind of not satisfying. But at the end, it kind of like was like this little entity really fucking with them, or is it just that shit happened?
I feel you. So they're trying to see if there's something spiritual going on, or if it's just everybody's going to
It's like you're.
I felt like
walking
some
through
part
the
of Molly
house.
was
Hold
still
on,
here.
that was her family tree, man. Everybody in her family just keeps dying and shit, man.
Pretty much.
Damn, her life sucks. Man, all their family sucks. Can't stop dying because they can't figure out it's an entity haunting them again.
And you know, she's pregnant.
The girl you're playing, Edith?
Yeah, she's pregnant.
Nigga, this game is weird. I gotta get out of here, bro. I don't know. It looks wonderful.
It looks wonderful, but it has a
This will
deeper
be obvious
meaning
later, but my mom
Yeah.
never told
Yeah.
me any of these stories.
It's just
Edie
it's
would
just a game
have,
that
but
you
Mom
have to
didn't like
reflect
bringing
on
up
after
the
you play
past.
it. And I already beat it, so
So,
that's why I'm playing
when
it
we
again.
adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
for free.
Yeah,
I
mean,
spent a lot of
it's
time
only
in
free for
Great
people
Grandma
with
Edie's
PSN.
room.
You know, otherwise it's $19.
Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
So, this is all what happened. So I hope to leave the curse behind. House. Fucked because of the wave. Odin was like, y'all niggas gonna come with me and stay with me at this crib that I'm about to build on the shore because, you know, our last shit just got fucked and he was the first one to die after that shit. But how do you think you're gonna leave the curse behind right after? How do you think you're gonna leave the curse behind?
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Right. But I mean, how do you think you're gonna leave the curse right before?
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon,
you thought that had the curse.
She could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones.
Oh, this can't look through the people or nothing. Oh, doesn't work that way. There's that sharp.
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace. There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
This game had more potential than anybody really knew though. Oh, okay, so the swing makes more sense.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sam! Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin, I'm not going to tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing. After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again. The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies. Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate
they made a
family.
comic book about this.
I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick.
Got the
The
shit
house was silent.
What's good?
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear! Rick?
I don't know why that surprised me
Barb,
more the
relax.
second time than it
I was
did
just
first.
trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still
Nigga, that's my crack.
when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, we're dead, Walter.
I'm dead. In the dead zone? I guess I'm lost somewhere.
Walter, are you there?
Walter vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
This is probably
Barbara
the weirdest-
turned,
the
saw the
weirdest
hook
part.
man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges grow.
What's up, bitch?
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet. The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
Damn.
Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
See, who published this shit? Oh my god, how did I not get sued?
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
What's my next trophy? It's creepy because if you stand around in the house for long enough, you start to hear shit. It could be the women's bedroom. Or be the
I guess now I know why
bedroom.
Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
But through and through, it's creepy.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara. Edie's father, Odin, built the original house. Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it. Mom must have locked the third-floor stairs on the night we left. It's funny. All those times I played with the music box and never found the basement key.
I don't know why we couldn't use that shit, but whatever. So we're just gonna leave the can? Alright. So
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
Mom had a good point. Better see what happened to the nigga in the comic.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Nigga drew up. I can't do whatever this fuck like.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
See, like, with Edie, I have to manually go down.
I know it's out there, somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly. and Calvin.
No fucking bread down here.
Maybe this is all a mistake.
I can't live this way.
But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left. Or a month. Or a single week. I'd be happy with 1 more day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
That's very confusing, though.
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
Makes no sense. Since we don't experience none of that here.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive.
There's not really
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2. I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself. And found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
R.I.P. my nigga Walter.
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family.
No, this shit should have died with you.
And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them. For
like this,
what that's worth.
Mind for the second fucking game.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
Oh God.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Damn. I see you waving at me. Who the fuck is Bob? Oh, this is still the animals.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
This is fucking dope. Parker, Charlie, Dorothy Jr. I'll just go backwards. That was just like fast. Oh, no one was close. Close. Barbara.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide. Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night. Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
Edith Finch, Edith Finch. Damn, that was amazing.
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
Well, where's Molly? I didn't see Molly's yet.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now.
I already said RIP to her last time.
Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
She could have killed her and the baby right here. Good thing she has fucking great balance, I guess.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both pretty intense.
You said? I think it was creepy.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Hmm? What? Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
It's too early, Dad.
Open the book, bitch.
Okay.
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit.
You're a fucking nerd.
Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
Aw. You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up.
Still freezing, though.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I definitely won't be moving.
Are you done yet?
Does it sound like I'm done? Nothing quite like being outside. Hey!
That's a keeper.
Oops. A little more gas in the tank, I guess. I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Don. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Don, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere. I bet if I could remember where that trail was, we'd spot a buck for you in no time. Give me a minute to check the map. Don, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? Let's see.
Dad!
Good eyes, Don. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Focus on your target. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong.
Alright, so who the fuck is Dawn, though?
Now keep yourself squared up, elbows down, like we practiced. Whenever you're ready. Great shot, Dawn! I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about—
Dad!
There's no way that bitch is still alive. Did both of them die? 'Cause it looked like she was about to run off the cliff.
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
Like, Dawn is not in this book at all. So what the fuck happened to Dawn?
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Gregory, it's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw. What his world was like. He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was he saw, it sure made him happy. I know how silly it sounds. That I worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
I wish he could have told us about the world he saw. There's so much I don't understand about Gregory. About everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
The fuck is Kay? I bet not see that motherfucking frog, nigga. Square the fuck up.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, "We don't need a stepmom," were the words that I
now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
Wow. Oh shit.
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't, until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus. My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
So what happened to your mom?
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again.
There's the plans for Dawn, Louis, Nelson. I want to hear Dawn's story.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while,
Things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings. Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush. I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Their family should have stopped having babies a long ass time ago.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room, until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room, except Louis.
Louis' death was the most recent. My nigga lived in a boat. Did I really not know this was outside? This was probably the dopest one.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then, daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss, but he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of her silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it